September 23rd, 1951. Cup Series race at Charlotte. Strength of field just under 1,500. The 30th ranked driver, Eddie Anderson, finishes 30th, loses 74 iRating, and becomes the first NASCAR driver to fall under 1,000 iRating. This is the Super Project. It all starts with 1350. Every driver in their first race is given a rating of 1350. From there, their finishing position and rank within each race determines if they gain or lose iRating. The great drivers climb to the ceiling, the bad drivers fall, and in the middle is everyone else bouncing up and down between ratings. The first driver to break the 2,000 iRating mark was, of course, Lee Petty. Within 17 races, Petty went from a 1350 to a 2,062 iRating in the 1950 season. 1 year later, Tim Flock flew higher, being the first driver to reach 2,500 iRating at the Columbia Speedway, September 1951. Flock once again was the first to hit a high mark of 3,000, reaching the rating with his fourth place finish at Langhorne Speedway in 1952. A new name entered the race for highest iRating in 1953, with Herb Thomas reaching 3,500 mark in September of that year. In 1954, Lee Petty once again stood above the rest, being the first to reach 4,000 iRating late in the season at Corbin Speedway. But as the iRating gets higher, it becomes more difficult to gain that iRating, especially when these greats were racing in strength of fields nearly half of their rating. Most fields in the early years were well under 2,000 strength of field, an average of all the drivers' iRatings. With the lack of stats from other series, variations in fields, new drivers, regional drivers, ratings were harder to come by in the early years, especially as the great drivers climbed the rating hill. It took until 1957 for the first driver to reach 4,100 iRating, with Buck Baker finishing fourth as the number one car and gaining 16 iRating to go to 4,101. From 1957 to 1960, no driver could reach 4,200. The first driver to reach that mark started his career in 1960, and it would take 9 years for him to climb to 4,200, as David Pearson finished third, as he earned 15 iRating in a 1,600 strength of field. Pearson again would be the first to reach the next step of 4,300 later in the season at Bowman Gray Stadium. And then came Richard Petty in 1971, topping 4,400 in April at Wilkesboro, 4,500 at Michigan in August of 71, 4,600 at Darlington 2 months later, and 4,700 at Rockingham in October of that year. An absolute storm to the top by the King himself. All within a single year, where it took 2 years for anyone to go from 3,000 to 4,000. Petty pushed the limits to the highest iRating within a single year. 72 didn't stop the 43 from reaching 4,800. Riverside finishing off the 1971 season. Yeah, they did weird stuff back then. The start of the 72 season, Petty, the number one ranked driver, lost 92 iRating and 93 iRating in the Daytona qualifier and the Daytona 500, with a pair of finishes outside the top 20. This dropped him down to a 4,620, but still the highest rated driver. All it did was slightly delay his climb in the 72 season, reaching 5,000 iRating at Rockingham in October of 72. Alright, Editor Nick here. This project I didn't want to start on making videos until I had completed it. I'm only to the 1980 season right now because I am doing this in an absurd manual way of running all the races through the iRating calculator, one race at a time for every season of every series of stock car racing I can find. This is going to be a long project, and I might need a bit of help figuring out how to do it in a faster way, because as we get into 81, 82, the Bush series starts to come into play. We're going to have the truck series. We're going to have Cars Tour stats that we can start getting into if we really want to. There is a lot of data, and it's really, really fun to look at. But it's going to take some time. And then making the videos also takes some time. So, I just wanted to put a little bit of a cap here on the end of the video that this is fun. I love doing this. I'm doing this because right now we can't do any iRacing, and I needed to get a video out. So, this is what I'm doing. There is a lot of different types of stats that I can pull from here. I can do most iRating a driver's gained at a track. We can find out who has gained the most from farming lower series. But as I said, right now I'm only to 1980, and there is so many more races to go. So yeah, my process is going to be slow, but I wanted to throw something out there to see what the community felt and how much people want this data. I'm a stat nerd. I love looking at stuff like this. That doesn't mean anyone else out there does. So let me know if you want more of this. Let me know who you want to see. There's some interesting stories out there. The next video, I'm going to flip it around. We're going to go lowest up until the 1980s, and then hopefully I can start maybe getting a decade done a month. But again, it takes about an hour of just manually copy pasting, running the data, and that takes an hour for a season, and it is a mind-numbing process, and I'm surprised that I've got this far to be able to put something together. I've been really busy lately and have not been able to put the time and effort I want to into this. So I found an opportunity where I could maybe release this and see what people think. I really want to see, the 90s and the 2000s. I think there's going to be some interesting numbers there. But yeah, right now, 5,000 is the top up to 1980. No one's gone higher than that. Richard Petty's only been above 5,000 3 times in his career. But as we start getting more series and people start farming, what are those numbers going to climb to? So let me know in the comments if this is something that I should do. Keep on going. Maybe a once a week or once every 2 week video. Yeah, it's an interesting project. I'm probably going to need some help from my community to finish it up and come up with some more ideas on what to look at. But next video, we'll take a look at what we kind of got a brief preview at on the front of this video. Who drops the lowest? And yeah, thanks for watching.